Good morning, my quilting family. Today we're going to talk about what tools people need to begin quilting. It looks like a lot of tools, and a lot of quilters have been doing this a long time. They pick up a ruler here and there, and they have all sorts of things going on. You just need some basic tools to get you going. Okay, the first one that has revolutionized quilting and sewing is a rotary cutter. Now, this rotary cutter I have is from Olaf, and it's ergonomically friendly. So they're not paying me to say, that this is the best or anything. It's just, for me, it's the best one I can manage with my wrists. Okay, so that if you're older and you're starting, you have wrist issues, you might want to pick up an ergonomic one. They're more expensive, but they last a long time. You just keep changing the blades. The next thing you need is a cutting mat. Now, this one for me is a little small because I do work with yardage. If you can afford a cutting mat that is at least 24 inches by, let's say, 30 or 36 inches, that's the one you get. This one is fine for smaller cuts like fat quarters and that, but you should try and get the biggest mat you can afford, reasonably. Okay, the next thing, and I have this possibly in my hand at least 3 or 4 times a day, if not more, is an Olaf ruler, and it's 12 inches by 6 inches. I love this ruler because the lines on it are so fine and clear, and you can make really crisp cuts, that are very precise. The other rulers that I use, because I do use with yardage, is the OmniGrid ruler. If you can get one that's 24 by 6.5, that's good. It should also have, both of these rulers also have different marks. I don't know if you can see this. There's like a 15, a 30, 45, 60, 90. They have like a compass point around. Both of these rulers have compass points. They're very good. This one is a 6.5 by 24. For squaring up small blocks, I love this one. It's a 6-inch ruler, and it's also by OmniGrid, but from the 1 to the 3-inch lines here and here, it's got really fine detailed lines. So if you're trying to make like a 2 7/8 cut, yeah, you can do it with this. I also recommend you buy a squaring up ruler. Now this is the one I have. It's 15 inches square. Normally I don't make quilt blocks bigger than 15 inches. So, that's me. If you make blocks that are bigger, you might need a bigger ruler. Okay? So the next thing you need is good quality cotton fabric. Quilting cotton is not knit, it's woven. Right, so it has a warp and it's woven fabric, and the print and everything should feel really quite soft to the touch. It shouldn't be hard, right? So this is important. If you're going to make nice quilts, get nice fabric. The other thing is you have a bigger pair of scissors for cutting batting and yardage, and for bigger jobs. I always have a little snips. The little baby sister scissor for cutting threads and whatnot. You might as well get friendly with this guy right away if you're beginning, is your seam ripper. And we'll post a video about how to use a seam ripper correctly. And they do get dull and they do break, and they, like, you can sharpen them. The ones you're probably buying with a sewing machine, they don't last very long. So invest in a good one. I also have, always handy, is a pair of tweezers. Now these are cosmetic tweezers. They're not like sewing machine tweezers or anything. Every third bobbin I clean. And I clean with a blush brush. Like one that has not been used for blush or cosmetics. And every once in a while I'll go through and really get in there with a hard scrubbing brush to take out the lint that this one misses. If you're doing a sewing machine, you're going to need needles. Now for quilting, 9014 is the way to go. I love a Schmetz needle. I think they're the best for quilting. I use these for, I use the finer ones for piecing and the bigger ones for quilting, actually putting the quilt together. And one of the things I'm going to tell you about is if you go to Schmetz online, you can buy them 100 per box. And that saves you a lot of money. Over the years, I have changed my mind about pins. I prefer silk pins. I prefer silk pins for my hand sewing and also for my, if I'm going to use pins in a sewing project with my sewing machine, the silk pins is where you go. It's a fine pin, it's really sharp, and you know, like you don't struggle to get it through the fabric like you would a cheaper pin. Spend your money on some of these good quality ones. Everybody talks about this. And I'm sorry, I only have one Wonder clip, or Wonder-ish like clip. I don't even know if this is a true Wonder clip or not. It's white or clear, so I don't know if you can see it very well. This is like a Lego waiting to happen on the floor. They're plastic, and they do grip really well, but I prefer a binder clip, a little binder clip that you used in an office to hold your papers together. They hold fabric together, they don't rust. So, and you can get these really cheap. So, whichever, what school of thought you're in. Thread, oh my, we could spend hours on thread. When I'm piecing, I usually use a white or a kind of a beigey gold color, and it usually covers everything. Sometimes I'll use a pale gray, depending on what I'm sewing, right? But this is a 50 weight thread. This is Aurifil, my favorite, my personal favorite for piecing. I do love, however, Wonderfil or Superior Threads for actually quilting on top of the quilt. These are beautiful 50 weight threads. You can get them in all sorts of colors, all sorts of variations of colors. They're perfect. Now, whether we want to sew with a sewing machine or not, there's some things like binding you might want to take and sew by hand. And this is where you need a good hand scissor. Now, the ones I would recommend are the Clover Goldeneye. The Clover Goldeneye, right? Or, where is the other one? Or the Boham needles. When you're hand sewing on your binding to finish your quilt, a lot of people prefer to hand sew it than sew it with a sewing machine, and you are going to need a good hand sewing needle. So, and last but not least, the iron and the ironing mat. Now, some people have switched over to wool mats, and I'll show you my wool mat. My wool mat is not great like everybody else's wool mat, but there's some advantages to wool mats and there's some disadvantages. But you do need a good iron and an ironing board. Whether you have a little one like this or a big one that I normally use, you need an ironing surface. Okay. And that pretty much concludes what beginners need for quilting with the sewing machine. I'll do another one about what quilters would need if they're going to do hand quilting or hand sewing their quilt, because the items are not this complicated. Okay? Thank you again for coming and listening to this video. I hope you have a fabulous day. Okay, come on back later. Bye! If you have questions about what you saw in this video, or you have ideas for content or something you want to see us do, please put those comments in the description below. But also, while you're there, like, share, and subscribe with your friends. That would really help us out. Okay, I want to thank you and have a great day.